If you're just starting out on your vibe coding journey and you don't want to waste weeks trying to figure it out through trial and error, then this video is just for you. This video is everything that I wish someone had told me on day one. So hello everyone, my name is Yashica Jain and I'm all about no-code AI implementations. And in this video, I'm consolidating my learnings from hundreds of hours of vibe coding so that you can cut the crap and start building with AI. I'm also the founder of Automates AI, wherein we help businesses implement AI solutions. So if you're interested, you can check out the link to our website in the description. So if you're ready, let's get started. So starting off with the textbook definition of vibe coding. If you didn't know, vibe coding is a term that was coined by Andrej Karpathy in early 2025 to describe a style of software development where you lean heavily on an LLM or an AI model to generate code from natural language intent rather than writing it yourself line by line. In simpler terms, vibe coding is basically when you say what you want and AI writes the code for you. So when you do software development through vibe coding, you're not actually the coder, instead you're the director. You direct AI and AI generates the code for you. Now, a question that I have heard at least 1,000 times till date is that, do you need to be technical enough to be vibe coding? Do you need to come from a technical background? Do you need to know how to code to vibe code? Well, the good thing is, if you know English, you are eligible to vibe code. Well, you can do it in other languages too, but I feel that English is the primary language of vibe coding. And if you are able to tell your thoughts in a clear and direct manner, you can vibe code. And in today's date, AI can not only write code, it can also test it and debug it. So it's like having an entire development team with you. And now it's time to choose where exactly you would be vibe coding. While vibe coding is this huge concept, there are many vibe coding platforms in the market that you can choose from. And these tools are just increasing and increasing day by day. But one thing that never changes is this split. There are two types of tools in the market. The first ones are app builders and the second ones are coding assistants. While both of these might sound very similar to you, they do have a huge difference. App builders are like a complete package. These are SaaS platforms where you just create an account and you get started right away. Everything is on the cloud, they have their own database, they help you with hosting, and it removes the friction to get started. So you might have heard of Lovable, you might have heard of Replit, Bolt, all of these different platforms. And these platforms let you choose from a variety of AI models. You can choose from Claude, OpenAI, etc. And on the other side, we have the coding assistants. So while the app builders live inside your browser, the coding assistants live inside your computer. Any code files that are written are stored on your computer. Any files that are edited are again on your computer. And since these coding assistants live inside of your computer, they can also look at the other files in your system, obviously with permission. Some of these coding assistants are terminal based, meaning you can operate them directly from your terminal, or you can access them through any code editor. The other ones like anti-gravity, cursor need to be installed inside of your computer. So this is in your browser, this is in your computer. So that is about where it lives. This one is easy to get started with. This one requires a little bit of setup. If you want to spin up a quick website, a quick web app, then the app builders are great. But if you're looking to build something complex, something advanced, then you have to go with coding assistants. You have much more control on the final code, on the final results, when it comes to coding assistants. And while the app builders are currently more limited to vibe coding, the coding assistants can also help you with anything agentic AI. If you want to set up a multi-agent team, if you want to set up agentic workflows, then coding assistants can help you right away. In terms of cost, these app builders are SaaS platforms to which you have to subscribe to. But in terms of coding assistants, let's say for Claude Code, if you already have a Claude subscription, you can access this. Same goes for Anti-Gravity, which is by Google. Then there's Cursor. Cursor has a monthly subscription. So I feel that coding assistants are more cost effective if you're trying to build a complex and advanced project and you feel that you're gonna consume a lot of credits and a lot of tokens. But if it's a one-off job, then app builders should be just fine. In terms of personalization, you can personalize the coding assistants to a greater extent using these MD files, using skills, etc., plugins, connectors, and all of that. App builders were trending a lot last year and in the starting of this year, but ever since I think Feb, coding assistants have been in the wave, and moving forward as well, coding assistants will be the trend. So if you're trying to learn a new skill, I think you should go with coding assistants. But yes, the overall logic remains the same in both of these, where you just have to tell AI what you're looking for and it builds it for you. That never changes. It is just that there are a few layers here and there that differ in both of these, but the end result, end goal is the same. The reason why beginners don't really go with coding assistants is because of the learning curve in the very beginning, but since you're watching this video, you shouldn't have that problem. And now if I talk about which coding assistant, I would say that Claude Code is the smartest one as of today's date. And anti-gravity is also very much similar to Claude Code. So both of these can be a good start. Cursor is more used by developers who already have code bases and they would like to edit it. But for beginners trying to wipe code, trying to go into agentic AI, etc., Claude Code and anti-gravity should be a good start. Now, if you already have a Claude subscription, you already have Claude Code access. And if you have Google AI, then you have anti-gravity's access. They both have the same frameworks like skills, MCPs, plugins, all of that. Claude Code is terminal based, meaning you can easily access it anywhere, like in any code editor. You can also access it on the web, by the way, but it's more recommended to access it within your computer. And in terms of anti-gravity, you just have to download it as an app, install it. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to use Claude Code, and you can apply the same principles over to anti-gravity, Cursor, Codex, and even these ones to a great extent. Going with coding assistants and especially with Claude Code is gonna make you feel like a developer in real time because of that setup and everything, as if you're doing some real coding in there, but don't worry, you don't have to code. It could look overwhelming in the first go, but it is really not. It's just like an AI chatbot, you just have to talk to it, that's it. So now let's set up Claude Code. As I said, it's a terminal-based AI coding assistant, meaning you can access it from anywhere. Your terminal, your favorite code editor, from the web. So I'm going to show you the easiest way and the one that I use, given that I hate terminals. So you just have to search for VS Code. So developers use this for coding. It is a code editor. So basically you can list all your code files, you can easily edit them, etc. So you can download this inside of your system. It supports Windows, Mac, etc. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you code. So once you are within VS Code, you can open a fresh folder. So let's call it first wipe coding project, create. Okay, so we have a fresh folder here. All of the code files will be visible here. And now we're looking for Claude Code. So just go to extensions here and search for Claude Code. And you'll find this one by Anthropic, and you just have to install it with one click. That's all. And similarly, if you also want OpenAI's Codex, you can search for OpenAI Codex and you will find it right here. But we're not going to use this one for the video. I just told you for general knowledge purposes that you can easily install these inside VS Code. Okay, so closing this. So once your Claude Code has been installed, you will see this Claude icon at the very top. And if you click on it, it will open up Claude Code. So we can close the rest of it. If you're doing it for the first time, it is going to ask you to sign in to your Claude account, which you can easily do it. So one click sign in, and then Claude Code would be set up. As easy as that. Let me close this. And if you look closely, this is just a chat interface. There's nothing to be overwhelmed about. So if I say, hey, oh, it seems like I have to log in again. Okay, so it's nice. I can even show you how to log in. So it's going to give you three options. You can just directly log in through your Claude.ai subscription, which I'm going to choose. Or you can also connect your API keys, your Claude API keys, and pay for the usage. So let me go with the subscription. Open, authorize, and now if I say, hey, it should be able to respond. Great. So just like ChatGPT or Claude, right? The difference being it can actually code. So that's how you can easily install Claude or Codex, whichever you prefer. If you're leaning towards anti-gravity, you can just search for it and just download it. Sign in, and that's it. It is a similar chat interface. So I guess the setup was not that difficult. The next thing you can do here is you can click on this / and you can actually change the model that you're using. So here you have the option to switch the model. So for most tasks, Sonnet 4.6 should be fine, okay? Only if you're doing something very, very complex, you should switch to Opus. If you're doing something just as an experiment, you could also use Haiku, but we're going to go with the default, which is Sonnet. Opus consumes a lot of tokens, but the default one, which is Sonnet, is it's a nice bet. Now for the effort, again, you can choose from medium to high, Only if you're doing something very advanced, you should go with max, but I'm gonna go with high. And the thinking mode should be turned on. And there are a lot of other things that you can play around with, which we will also see later. And for the permissions, if you're building something from scratch, you should just go with edit automatically. So it will be able to just, create the files, edit things easily. But if you're working on an existing code base, then you should go with ask before edits, so that before it makes any changes to your existing code, it asks you for permission. And if you're just planning a project, you can go with the plan mode. So since we are starting from scratch, we don't have any files in here, I'm going to go with edit automatically. But even though you've selected edit automatically, in some crucial cases, it might ask for your permission. And this one is just so that you can attach files. So that is the interface right here. Here you can see your past conversations, and from this one, you can create a new conversation. Okay, so just to give you a quick dopamine rush, we're going to ask it to build us something with just one prompt. This is going to be a quick one, not really an entire project in its own, but it will actually show you how this is pure magic. So here I'm going to describe what I need, and let's see what it comes up with. As you can see, we have no code files in here, meaning everything would be coming from scratch. And I'm not going to use any fancy prompting techniques as of now. Let's keep it simple and let's see what it comes up with. And since I'm hating typing these days, I'm just going to be dictating my prompt, and it's also going to be easier for you to understand. Hey Claude, build me a home loan calculator. People must be able to add the principal amount. They should be able to select the rate of interest through a slider. They must be able to select the tenure of the loan. And when they hit calculate, you must do all the calculations in the background. Give them as much information as possible. For example, a visual breakdown of the interest versus principal, also how much they're going to pay each year, their monthly EMI, down payment, things like that. Basically, whatever you can tell them, just tell them, and make this interactive and subtle, elegant. This is a quick project that we're doing, so I hope to get results in the first go. Okay, so here's my small prompt, okay, and let's send it. And now it's going to start thinking, building, etc. And you will see any code files that it writes right here. And just look at the different English words it comes up with when it's doing the work, so that you don't feel bored. I mean, I've been using this Claude Code thing for a long time, but still I find new English vocabulary words from here all the time. And if you want, you can also click on this and you can have a look at what Claude Code is thinking in the background. Alright, and in no time it said done. So if you click here, you will be able to see the code that it generated, all of this code. And it is also giving you a list of the features it has implemented. So let me ask it to give me the link to view the project. Alright, copy and paste. Okay, so here's our home loan calculator, and this is how it looks like. It literally generated this in 2 minutes, I'm telling you. So let's do another number. And let's take the down payment as 20%, yes. Interest rate as, let's take it as 8.8. Tenure 20 years, calculate. Okay, so monthly EMI, loan amount, down payment, total interest, total payable, cost per 1 lakh. Then here's the year 1 interest share, okay. True home cost, so how much this is going to cost you, like the home price is this much, but at the end of the day it's going to cost you this much. And this is principal versus interest, okay. And this is the yearly breakdown, yes. So in the beginning the money goes to the interest, but later on it goes to principal. And then here's the complete breakdown, yearly and monthly. Great, I mean, you saw it. One prompt, literally 2 to 3 minutes, and this is what we have. And obviously, if you want to improve it, you can give it more feedback and details. But I just did this as a quick project to give you a quick dopamine rush that, oh wow, this is nice. And this code file right here is on your computer. Later in the course, we will also see it how we can deploy this on the internet, and so that people can access it through a domain. So now let's talk about the fundamentals of vibe coding. Things that no one really tells beginners, but if you do pay attention to these, it can really take your outputs to the next level. I figured it out after doing it over and over again, and here are a few rules I want you to keep in mind. The first rule is intent, not syntax. So you have to prioritize the intent on top of the syntax. In easier words, you have to focus on what instead of how. So when you're prompting AI, you should only be answering the what question, which is what you are trying to build, instead of how AI should build it. Because AI is pretty good at that. It can nicely come up with the tech stack, the architecture, and it can easily answer the how question that, okay, I should use this programming language, I should use that framework. So you don't have to worry about that. Instead, what you have to worry about is the what question. So you need to start optimizing for, can I clearly express the outcome I want? Okay. For the home loan calculator, I never told it which programming language to use, which frameworks to use. I never told it anything about that. I just told it I want a home loan calculator which should have these features, and this is the outcome I'm looking for. This can really reduce your back and forth. So you speak directly to AI and you have to answer the what question and clearly express the outcome you're looking for, and it will on its own come up with the plan, the architecture, the tech stack, and it will get you the code that matches your expectations. So rule number 1, intent, not the syntax. Because see, we are not coders, we are directors. Rule number 2, verify, don't trust. Yes, you don't have to trust your AI model. So a lot of times what happens is that when you ask it to generate something for you, to fix something for you, to come up with a functionality, it will very confidently tell you that, okay, I've done it, it's working, I've tested it. But a lot of times it is actually just bluffing. It has not really set it up in a perfect way, or maybe it tried to, but it is not working in the real world. So every time AI gives you the code, instead of moving to the next step, you should always just take a few minutes out and check what it has done, even if it is a small change. Because if you don't check and you just keep on prompting, then maybe at the end you have a pile of features that don't really work. So you have to check its output instead of assuming it is right, and you should run the code immediately, see what breaks, paste the error back. If you have any error, just tell it again at that moment and let it iterate. The speed of iteration really beats the correctness on the first try. If you quickly iterate, you'll get your final product much quicker. Now, in the beginning, I told you that Claude Code is one of the best ones to use at this point in time. Does it not make mistakes? It does. After every response of Claude Code, I always go in and see what it has done and give it feedback if needed. Now, you might think that it's going to take a lot of time if you just check each and every feature all the time. But it's better than later on realizing that whatever you have been doing so far is not working and you can't launch it in the real market. So verify, don't trust. Rule number 3, which is very important, even in my journey, quite later on did I realize that I have to manage context. Well, we have been quite comfortable with AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, and all we know is that we're going to send it a prompt, we're going to get a response, we're going to send another prompt, we're going to get a response. But when it comes to vibe coding and these AI coding assistants, you actually also have to manage context apart from prompting. So the output quality depends on what the model can see. So when we are vibe coding, our AI model consumes a lot of tokens. Tokens, you can think of it as credits, okay? Because it is thinking, it is generating code, it is deleting code, it is updating code, it is also talking to you. And every AI model in this world has a limit to how many tokens it can take at one given point in time. So what happens is that you keep working, the tokens keep on piling up, and then a point comes where, that limit is being exhausted and it's not able to retain all of the previous messages, the previous instructions you gave it, the previous prompts, because it is reaching the limit. So it has to cut down on the instructions, on the information from the past. And when it does that, it affects your project. And this exact cutting down, trimming down process is called compacting. And everyone knows that when someone reaches that stage in their chat, the model's output starts degrading. Like they don't get the same sort of outputs that they were before. And to solve this problem, we have to create context. Context is nothing else but these are files in your code base that basically tell it about the project, what it has been working on, what is the plan of the project, what is the to-do list of the project, so that even if it compacts its knowledge moving forward, it can still look into that file and understand that, okay, this is what we were working on. Okay, this is my next step. The other thing is, when you're working on a big project, you take weeks to build that. And so let's say you're working today, you closed your laptop, you're starting tomorrow. So you start a new chat. Now that new chat does not have your prompt that you gave it the other day. It does not know about your expected outcome. So it would just look into the code files and it will try to guess what you're looking for. Instead, if you have this context inside of your code base about what the expected outcome is, it wouldn't have to guess. At any given point in time, you can start a new chat and you can continue from where you left. So prompts alone don't help, because if you keep on chatting for a long time, it forgets it. If you start a new chat, it forgets it. So you also have to build some context as you go. And that context basically tells the expected outcome or the intent of the project or the steps of the project. And the other thing is that instead of asking it to do everything in one go, it is always better to scope it out in small steps. Like the home loan calculator that I built was a fairly simpler one, so it's fine if you just tell it in one go that build it. But if you're trying to build a big web app, a good website, you should go step by step. The other benefit of breaking it down into smaller steps is that you can easily roll back to something in the past. So let's say you did something, then you gave it a prompt and it messed up. Now you don't like what it did, so you want to go back to the last version. So you can easily do that if you scope it out into small steps instead of doing everything in one go. Like about 3 to 4 requests in one prompt is fine. So now that you understand the importance of context, let me also show you how exactly you can do this. Okay, so you can create files like project context.md inside of your code base. And this file is just like any other text file. .md just really helps the AI digest information easily. Okay, so that's why we're using .md. It's just like a text file. So this file inside of your code base can tell it what the app is about, or your web app or your website, the goal, the constraints, the decisions which have been made throughout the process. The model reads this and knows the intent every time you come back. Maybe in the same chat, maybe in a new chat. It can just look into this file and quickly understand that, okay, this is what I'm going to work on. So you don't have to repeat the same things again and again. And yes, AI is going to come up with this in the first place. You just have to ask it to create a project context file in the code base that describes all of these. And as the AI builds, it can just update this file with any new decisions that you make. For example, you want to delete this feature, add a new one, so it can keep on updating this. This is like a documentation, right? So in a team of engineers working together, they maintain documentation so that some other engineer knows, okay, these are the changes, this is what we have to work on. So it's a similar case here, okay? Then you can also create Readme files. Humans have been doing this for a long time. So it can tell what the project is about, how to run it, similar to the project context. Then at the very beginning of your project, you can ask it to come up with an implementation checklist. So this is the plan broken down into small steps, right? So it's like a to-do list, and this can be maintained over time so that the AI knows where it left and where it has to pick up from. And there could be also a handoff.md file. So if in your chat you are seeing that, okay, now the context is filling and it might auto compact, you can just ask it to quickly come up with a handoff file, which then writes a file that can then be handed off to a newer chat so that the new chat understands whatever was going on in the previous chat. But I personally like to just go with the project context.md file. That's the only one I maintain, along with the implementation checklist and the readme file. So I just, in the very beginning, ask it to create a project context file. Then as we're working, it keeps on updating it. And every time I start a new chat, I just ask it to read the project context.md file. That way I don't really have to worry about the handoff file. Readme is good to have, and the implementation checklist must be just, updated by it time to time. So this way, AI easily knows your intent, and every time it works with your intent. So everyone in the AI space is calling it context, context, and context, but I really feel this is nothing else but a documentation that is being maintained. But yeah, rule number 3 is more applied if you're working on bigger projects, advanced projects, and you think that it's going to take you, let's say, a week to build, 2 weeks to build, then you should take the headache of setting this up, the project MD file, Readme file, implementation checklist. If you're just doing a simple one-off website, if you're just playing around, you're creating games out of it, then you shouldn't really worry about rule number 3. And to be very honest, rule number 3 is what takes you from a beginner to an advanced vibe coder. Now, before we start building, a quick note on prompting. Now, prompting is not something you have to stress about. You just have to keep a few things in mind because, prompting is the coding language for vibe coding. That's just how you convey. So you can keep these 3 things in mind and you should be good. Firstly, don't make AI guess. Don't give vague prompts. Some people just say, this isn't looking good, make it look good, and change the color of the text. So that is quite vague. Then AI has to guess, what is not looking good, what do I change, which color do I change to? So you can be a little more descriptive that the website is not matching my expectations. I want you to change the background color to this. I want you to change the headline to this, change the font to that. Right? Give it a little more instructions because it cannot read your mind. So whatever idea you have in mind, try to put it out in words. Don't confuse it. So firstly, don't put a lot of things in one go. And secondly, at the top, you're saying that this is not looking good. And then at the bottom, you're saying, okay, this is fine, don't change it. So that confuses it, and then you'll get outputs that don't match your expectations, and then you'll be like, what is this? And then you'll spend the next half an hour fixing it. So just try to be clear, okay? Then secondly, go step by step, okay? Instead of telling it to do everything in one go step by step, as I said before as well, so that you can easily roll back and it doesn't confuse AI. Apart from that, just use plain English. Don't worry a lot on the structure. Answer the what instead of the how, intent over syntax, right? And yeah, you should be good. So in my earlier days, I used to use like ChatGPT and Claude to come up with the prompt that I have to send for vibe coding. But now I've realized that it's not that big of a deal. So what I do is I turn on dictation and I just speak. I speak about what I'm looking for in clear language, that this and this should be like this, that should be like that, the results should look like this, right? The UI should look like this, that. And that has been helping me, to be honest. It's saving me time and it's giving me good results because when I speak, I tend to be more clear and I tend to speak a lot of things, as you might have guessed watching this video. So I think sometimes it's better speaking than typing. So that's also a pro hack you could use. So now that we know the rules, we know the hacks, we can go ahead and build it. So I'm going to build one project with you. We're going to take it from scratch. I'm also going to show you how you can deploy it, take it live on the internet, right? And we're going to use all that we have been learning so far. And maybe I'll teach you a few more tips and tricks as we go. So now let's build a real project through vibe coding end to end without writing a single line of code. Now you can build a website, you can build a web app, etc. But I'm going to show you how to build a web app because a website is fairly easy. So I'm going to show you how to build a web app that connects to external systems. So back to Claude Code, we are going to open a new folder and I'm going to call it the news aggregator. You can literally call it anything, whatever your project is about, whatever you can easily remember, okay? And we're going to open Claude Code, we're going to close these, okay? So before I prompt it, let me tell you my idea. So basically, everyone in today's world is holding stocks and different funds, etc. And sometimes when we get busy in life, it becomes difficult to keep track of the news around the stocks that you're holding. Let's say you're holding Tesla's stock and you want to be updated on whatever is happening that is affecting Tesla's stock price. Maybe there's a new news that, got a 5% hike. So we are creating a consolidated dashboard where people can check the latest news which is associated with the stocks that they hold. I hope that makes sense. So now let me go ahead and dictate. So we are going to focus on the outcome and not how it should build it. And secondly, we're gonna ask it to come up with the implementation checklist and the project context.md file. In the very first prompt, it is still fine if you give it a lot of information in one go, it's still fine, but later on you should break it down into smaller steps. So let me begin by explaining. Hey Claude, I want to build this web app where people are easily able to check any news associated with those stocks that they're holding at the moment. Any news which could potentially affect the price of their stock is listed there. So we want to basically have 3 different views in this particular platform. The first is their personal view. So all the stocks that they're holding, any news associated with any of them is shown there. So while they're sipping coffee in the morning, they can easily go through it. At night, they could take a quick glance. Apart from that, there is a second view which is per stock, like individually. So if they want to check for one stock only, then they can filter and check it there. Okay. And then there needs to be a third one which has generic news that is affecting the entire stock market, which could also affect their stocks, right? So something is happening geopolitically, someone said something that is doing something, right? So that whatever is giving an overall impact is there in the generic one. Okay, so these are the 3 different ones we want. People should be easily able to choose the stocks that they're holding. They should be easily able to add them, update them, and delete them. That should be quite straightforward. And the news must have the title, the date, a quick teaser, and a link to view the complete blog article. So we are not going to be writing blog articles on our web app. Instead, we will be linking to the other finance forums, etc. that very often post these type of news, right? We're just an aggregator. We are not some journalist or something or bloggers trying to write blogs. Okay. So you must monitor these finance RSS feeds and accordingly show the news. It should be in real time, right? And the UI must be very easy, like it should be very familiar to people so that they can easily go through it, read the news. It should be quick, right? And if you have any other functionalities in mind, let me know. As of now, I don't want you to start building. Instead, I want you to come up with an implementation checklist, basically the steps that you will be taking to build this entire web app. Then I also want you to come up with a project context.md file, which tells everything about the project in one single file, so that anyone who has no idea about the project can read that file and understand what this is about, what are the features, what are the steps. Anything that you and I know should be on there, and it should be updated regularly as we make decisions. Okay, so that is my prompt right there. So it's like a high-level overview of what I'm looking for. So if you look closely, I've not told it how to do it, I've just told what I'm looking for. So let's send it. This is the prompt if anyone wants to read it. Now, while it is building the project, it might ask you for certain permissions, so you can give it the permissions. By the way, I used this term called RSS feed. So basically these are feeds that can be tracked for any new news. For example, there are AI RSS feeds, finance RSS feeds, etc. So if you monitor these feeds, if there's any new news, you will be notified basically. And that's what I'm telling it to do. I'm asking it to monitor the finance related RSS feeds. And we have got the response as well. So here's the implementation checklist. It has divided it into a total of 7 phases, as you can see. Apart from that, it has already created the project context MD file here. So what this is, also it has already given it a name, stock pulse, okay? So what this is, the problem we solved, target user, core features, right? Whatever I told it, what we are not building, the tech stack, the RSS feeds we are going to monitor, right? So all of the details are in here. So if you want to make any changes to the plan, you can. If you don't, you can continue with this. And then it's also asking us a few questions. So let me just, prompt it back and let me also answer the question. The implementation checklist looks good. Make sure to add this to the project context.md file, or if you want, you can also create a separate file, whichever you prefer, but make sure to update it from time to time. Next up, the open questions. So stock autocomplete. Do we use Yahoo search API? No, I think the static ticker list should be fine. we don't want to use the search API. For the polling, we can do 30 minutes. So every 30 minutes, we can poll, okay? For deduplication strategy, I want you to think about it yourself. Whatever makes most sense to you, just do that. You could do URL, you could do title matching, okay, tag matching. For read, unread, we don't want this functionality as of now. For news retention, we can keep it for 14 days, okay? Then you're suggesting adding a news age filter. Okay, yeah, we can do that. That's a nice feature. For the ticker badge on news card, yes, we can do that as well. And why this article? Yes, I want you to again come up with the strategy yourself, and we don't want to show it to the user that why this article. Okay, we don't want to show that. So that is my feedback. So please update these things, and once you're ready, you can start building. Also, for phase 2, which is authentication and database, we are going to use Supabase, but I would like to use Supabase MCP. So I just give you access to it and you create the project, the tables and everything, reducing manual work on my end. Okay, so just start building it. Whenever you want me to connect to the Supabase MCP, just let me know. Okay, so that is my feedback. I was mostly answering the questions that asked me. And apart from that, the only new thing was the Supabase MCP. So Supabase is this database that you could use for all of your apps. Now, different people would be using a web app like this and we have to store their data. So Supabase is a great option. So the reason why I suggested using an MCP is because if you don't, you have to do a little bit of manual setup. So MCP is quite straightforward. You just give it the access and it should be able to handle all the authentication and database part from there. Okay, so yeah, this is the plan, and you should only use Supabase if your project needs a database. Like if you're doing a web app, yes, you would use it, but if you're building a website, you would generally not need a database. Okay, so let me send this. And I also asked it to, maintain the checklist as a part of the context that it keeps on updating over time. So now if you look, it is updating our project context.md file with all the new decisions. Okay, so after a good 5-10 minutes, it came back by saying that the build is complete and we have all of these files in here, the code files, etc., as you can see. Now the next thing we have to do is the Supabase authentication. So it is asking us to add this service role key to the .env file, but that's not really how the MCP connection works. So let me show you how you can connect Supabase to Claude code using its MCP. So you just have to search for Supabase Claude MCP, go to the first link, and here you just have to select Claude code, okay? That is going to give you this command, which you have to copy. Then you have to ask it to run this command to install the Supabase MCP. While it is doing that, go to supabase.com and create a free account, okay? Coming back here, the MCP server has been added. Now, if you open a new chat and if you go to / and then mcpServers, you will see Supabase at the very top. To be able to see this, you will have to open a new chat so that it refreshes, and then you have to click on this, authenticate, and then give it the access it is looking for, and then check connection, and that is done. And now on this new chat, you have to say that I have successfully authenticated the Supabase MCP. You can proceed with the setup for authentication and database, and we can send this. And now since this is a new chat, it is reading our project context.md file. So now you know that context really helps, because every time you add a new MCP, you add something new, you have to refresh the chat and open a new one. And even if you go back to this one, you can see that 44% of the context was already filled. Oh, no, 44% was remaining. Okay, so it's good that we started a new one. So let's give it the permission. Okay, one last manual step, it requires the project API keys. Okay, so if I come back to my Supabase account, it has already created my project. I did not create it manually, it was automated. And if you come to database, you will be able to see that it has created all the tables and everything it needs, which is nice. So we have to go to settings, actually the project settings, then the API keys. Then we have to go to this one and copy this service role. And then we have to go to this file and paste it here. Okay, so let me tell it done. So if you want to set up authentication, which is the ability to sign in, log in, and if you want to set up a backend database, you have to follow this process regardless of whatever you're creating. Okay, so it's saying want to run it and work through. So let me ask it to run it and give me the link to view it. Okay, so let's click here. Or you know what, let me just take it to Chrome so that it's easier. Okay, so this is the login page. Let me sign up. All right, so let's create an account. Here it shows rendering. Okay, no, I don't want to save it. So now it's asking me to log in. So maybe we can change that. Email not confirmed. So now we enter the debugging stage of the vibe coding journey. In the beginning, you're giving it prompts, you're asking to build things, and now once it has built it, you have to debug them. Now, a lot of people get stuck in this debugging process. They spend hours and hours, but if you just follow some rules like taking screenshots, asking it to check the logs, then you might be able to save yourself time. So in this case, I'm gonna ask it to, firstly, I'm gonna take a screenshot, and here, let me tell it. I first created an account, and when I clicked on create an account, it took me to the login page. Firstly, that is not what we want. If they create an account, they should be, easily able to go into their account instead of adding another step. But the real issue is that when I was trying to log in, it said email not confirmed. So can you please check the logs and tell me what the issue is? So if you ask it what the issue is, it sometimes makes the process easier instead of just telling it fix this error. Okay, so the problem was because of this setting. So let's turn off this setting. So go to authentication, providers, and email. Okay, so authentication, providers, email. Yeah, so we have to turn this off. Okay, got it. Now let me try signing in, and I am in. Okay, so this is the dashboard. Add stocks to your portfolio to see the relevant news. Okay, so this is like my portfolio, so it's only for those. Okay, then there's the market overview. Okay, so no news found. Maybe it did not connect to the RSS feed. All right, and where can I add my stocks? I don't see a page for that. So it's saying search above to add your first holding. Okay, so let's try Apple. Okay, got it. So Apple. Okay, let me add Tesla. Yep. Okay, so let's just keep these two, and we can also remove it. That's nice. So now if I go back here, I can't see any news. Okay. Overall, the UI looks good, like the vertical navigation bar. So let's give it feedback. So I was able to log in, and I even added 2 stocks to my holding list, but I'm not able to see any news, neither in my news section nor in the generic news section. Have you not configured that part yet? So asking it direct questions really helps. For example, I ended off by saying, have you not configured it yet? In that case, it's gonna first answer. Otherwise, people just go by saying, I can't see it, fix it. Okay, so it did not run that RSS feed fetching job even once. That's why we were not able to see anything, but now it has started and it will update every 30 minutes automatically once it is deployed. Okay, so it's saying refresh your browser, the news should appear. Okay, so refresh. Indeed, we can see the news. So first, let me go to my portfolio. Okay, so this is regarding Apple, and it is also mentioning the source. For example, this is coming from Yahoo, right? This is coming from this one. So let me click on read article, and that takes me to the actual article. Cool. Or if I go here, nice. And this teaser is actually the first few lines of the actual blog post. And we also have the time, 2 hours, 3 hours. So last 24 hours, last 7 days. So if you look at the top, the number changes. Like last 24 hours, we just have 33, but last 7 days, we have 77. Okay, that's nice. So that was for Apple and Tesla combined. Okay, so all of them combined, got it. And then the market overview is for the entire market. So like CNBC, and it's coming from all of these different providers. Nice. Like it's huge. And now if I want to check for one of them, I think I'll have to click here. Yes. So then it only shows me for Apple. For example, this one. Okay. Why Apple and Microsoft. Okay. So now at this point, you will have to test each and every functionality in like great detail. Like, is it only showing the last 7 days one here? Is it only showing the last 24 days here? Sorry, last 24 hours here. Is this linking to the correct blog post? If I am selecting Apple, is it only showing Apple related news? Like, that is where the work is going to go for sure. When you're vibe coding, which is checking everything, and based on that, you will have to give it feedback. And even regarding the UI of how it looks, like to me, it looks good. Maybe we can add a light theme to this So for people who don't like dark themes, that's a change we could do. For example, you could add more things here. You test these different functionalities like remove, is it working, is it not working, and accordingly give it feedback. So let me tell it, looks good. Can you also add a light theme for the people who don't like reading in dark? Okay. And you can keep on adding more and more functionalities moving forward. Same thing with the authentication. You'll have to test it across multiple emails. Is the login working? Is the sign-in working? Sign up working? So from my end, it's more like a demo. I wanted to show you the entire process of how you start by, creating the context files, and then you get the first MVP, and then you give it feedback. I wanted to show you that cycle. And then you'll also have to monitor it every 30 minutes to see is it actually updating the articles or not. You get my point, right? So you have to play detective. Okay, so this is done. So let me refresh. And here at the bottom, we do have a light theme. Boom, beautiful. Amazing. And just like that, you can work on the UI, you can work on certain functionalities, you can add functionalities, delete them. And once you are ready, you feel like this is what I wanted and I've got it, you have got your final expected outcome, you should be ready to deploy it live on the internet. Right now, everything that you're building, whatever you're seeing, is on your computer system. Other people on the internet cannot access it. So it's on your local host. To take it live on the internet, you need two things. The first is a hosting, the second is a domain. Domain is the link to your website, and hosting is where your code would be hosted. So now let me show you how you can take it live on the internet easily. This applies to websites, web apps, anything that you want to take online, given that it has a front end. So for the deployment, I would recommend Hostinger's Node.js web app hosting. It makes it extremely easy to take your vibe-coded project to the internet in no time. And the good thing is that when you buy their hosting, you get a free domain for an entire year. So I told you need two things, the hosting and the domain. And here, while you're buying the hosting, you're getting the domain for free for an entire year. Along with that, you have a free business email for 1 year and free managed ASSets. I'm using Hostinger for my own website, automatesai.com. Their cost to performance ratio is unmatched. They have highly affordable plans. You can compare it to the other ones in the market. You'll see the difference for yourself. I only promote the products that I have trust in, that I have been using for a long time, and that I would use when I vibe code my own project and I want to deploy it. So you'll find the link to this page in the description below. You can click on that link and scroll down. There you will see this section that says that we just have to push our code from one of our AI coding agents or vibe coded apps, and it will take it from there. That is what I was talking about. It makes it extremely easy to take your vibe coded apps to the internet. So for example, we are using Claude Code. So in the chat, we can just ask our Claude Code agent to deploy our entire web app through Hostinger's MCP, and it would be able to do it for us. So no manual work is needed on our end for deployment. If you scroll down here, you'll be able to spot their pricing, and I would recommend going with the business plan, which comes with 5 managed Node.js web apps. Not 1, 5, and up to 50 websites. So it is coming with 2 CPU cores, 3 GB RAM, and 50 GB of NVMe storage. There's the mailbox I talked about, free for entire year, and the free domain. You can read the other features as well. And the one that we are rooting for is the IDE-based deployment that lets us connect it to our tool, Claude Code. They also have a 30 days money-back guarantee along with 24/7 support, and you can easily upgrade as you scale. So click on the first link in the description, click on choose plan. That will take you to the cart where you can choose for how long you would like to get the hosting for. For example, if you go with 48 months, along with the free domain and the mailbox, you're also going to get 3 extra months of free hosting. So it's up to you, whichever one you want to choose. And since you have been consistently watching this video and you have reached till this point, I'm going to give you a 20% off on your cart value. Yes, you can use the coupon code Yashica20 and get a flat 20% off on your cart value. This applies for plans of 12 months, 24 months, and 48 months. So you'll find the link to this page in the description along with the coupon code. Don't forget to use it. And once you're all set, just click on continue and create your account. Let me show you how the rest of the process is done. So once you're inside your account, head over to API and click on new token. You can give it a name, so stock pulse, and this never expires, generate. Then you have to come back to Claude Code and you have to ask it to add this MCP to my .mcp.json file, and then you have to paste this. You will get this in the description. You can copy it from there and we have to replace this part with our actual token, which we just now generated. So you can paste it here, and we are going to send this. Then Claude Code is going to connect to hostinger's MCP. Okay, in no time it has been added. We are again going to open a new chat, click on the / and then mcpServers. You're going to find the hostinger MCP connected, and now we just have to command it. That's all. So let me tell it. Hey Claude, now we would like to proceed with the deployment process. So I want you to use the hostinger's MCP and host my web app using the business plan I just now bought. If you have to make any changes to the code to be able to host easily, you can do that. And once you're done, just host it. I have bought the Node.js managed web hosting plan. So I'm telling it that we're okay with starting with the deployment process. Then I'm asking it to use the hostinger MCP. Then I'm telling it if you want to make any changes to the code to be able to fit into, hostinger's hosting plan, you can. And then we are telling it which plan we just now bought and send. Now, while it is working on this, you can go back to your hosting and go to domains. There you will spot your free domain and you can claim your domain. Whatever domain you're looking for, you can choose that and register it. I already did that for one of my previous projects, so I already have the domain set up. But it's quite quick. You just have to choose the domain, enter your details, that's it. The domain would be yours. Okay, so the hosting was successful. Right now it has assigned it to a temporary domain. So if you check the domain, the temporary one, you'll find our web app, but we want it to be on the domain that you just now claimed. So let us tell it that use the existing domain on the account and link it here, or let me say, and replace it with the temporary domain. So that will assign your chosen domain to our hosting. And it is done. So easy. So you'll find the link to Hostinger along with the coupon codes in the description. Don't forget to use that. So that's pretty much it for this video. I really hope this video was valuable. If that was the case, don't forget to like the video and do subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in implementing AI inside of your business, you'll find the link to our website in the description below. We do exactly that. We first audit businesses to understand where AI can actually help them, and then we go ahead and implement it for them. If anyone is looking to get on a one-on-one call with me, then you can check out the link to my coaching calendar in the description. If you want to connect with me personally, don't forget to send me a connection request on LinkedIn and follow me on X. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. I will meet you in the next one. Till then, bye.